This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news and intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversations. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
Guardian Radio Today is brought to you by the Cleveland Clinic and Printmasters.
Is the best thing to have. Following the mission, make your good things go bad. Make your decision with your conscience intact, then defend your position when the enemy. I don't chat too much if you don't have nothing to say. Share your opinion only when necessary. Speak clearly through your integrity, cause money cannot help you with the judgment ready. So I aware of.
And welcome to another edition of Guardian here on 96.9 Fresh News Smart Talk all day. I'm your host, Pastor Dr. Cleveland W. Anius III, also known as Kahun Anku Sarah. We are streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com. You can also catch up with us, Cable Bahamas Channel 969 or BTC Flow Channel 612. When we do open the phone lines, it will be 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. In the Family of Islands, 242-300-5720. Of course, the Guardian Radio text line is powered by BTC, and that's 422-GR96 or 422-4796. Standard text rates do apply. The story of migration in the Bahamas is a unique and integral part of the wider Caribbean pattern defined by its close proximity to the United States, its role as both a desk and the complex social dynamics this creates. Of course, you had the early settlement, known by some as the Lucayan era. The first chapter, they say, of Bahamian migration mirrors the broader Caribbean story of indigenous settlement. The first inhabitants were the Lucayans. And of course, this is what I'm introducing the show with is the narrative that they give us. We're going to test this narrative today. With along with a lot of other things. I'll introduce you to my guest in just a second, but here's what we're taught. The first inhabitants were the Lucayans, the Arawakian-speaking Taino people who began migrating from Hispaniola and or Cuba to the islands around 500 to 800 AD. Over the next 800 years, they spread throughout the archipelago, reaching a population of about 40,000 at the time of European contact. This era ended tragically with the arrival of Christopher Columbus in 1492, as nearly the entire Lucayan population was enslaved and transported to other islands, leaving the Bahamas largely depopulated for over a century. Then you had a destination for regional migrants. As the broader Caribbean pattern shifted, the Bahamas became a key destination for migrants from other parts of the region. Academic sources highlight significant migration flows from various British West Indian islands. For instance, there are dedicated studies on the migration of people from Barbados, Jamaica, and the Turks and Caicos Islands to the Bahamas at different points in history, showing the nation's role as a regional hub. There's outward labor migration, the Florida connection, in a distinct pattern that sets it apart from many other Caribbean islands. Bahamian outward migration in the late 19th and early 20th centuries was primarily directed towards the nearby state of Florida rather than to the United Kingdom or other colonies. Of course, we know the contract. From 1880 to 1920, a decline in major agricultural exports in the Bahamas pushed many Bahamians to seek work in Florida, particularly in the growing city of Miami. This movement was so significant that it had major implications for Bahamian families, agriculture, and the local economy through the remittances sent back home. This migration to Florida was also shaped by oppressive racial conditions. Fleeing these conditions, some Bahamians migrated to Florida in search of economic opportunities. However, discriminatory policies such as the U.S. Immigration Act of 1924, the John Reed Act, eventually barred many Bahamians from entering Florida, effectively cutting off a major migration route. Then there's the modern diaspora. Brain drain. The Bahamas is a nation that experiences both significant immigration and emigration, a pattern reflected across the modern Caribbean. A magnet for migrants is what some would call us. The Bahamas remains a key destination. As of mid-2024, the country hosted 67,493 international migrants, representing 17% of its national population. The largest group of migrants comes from Haiti, 17,735 people, followed by the United States, 5,325, and Jamaica, 2,582. The Bahamas also acts as a major remittance sending country, with migrants in the country sending $261 million abroad in 2023, the second highest, albeit primarily to support families in the USA. The brain drain, conversely, the Bahamas is challenged by the emigration of its high-skilled citizens, a phenomenon widely known as brain drain. Each year, thousands of students leave abroad, and many do not return due to a lack of suitable employment or better opportunities elsewhere. Research suggests Bahamian immigrants are primarily motivated by the desire for educational, professional, and athletic development not available in the Bahamas, as well as the appeal of living communities where one's career trajectory is not limited by nepotism or political preferences. This loss of human capital is a significant concern for the country's development. And then, of course, we have asylum seekers, reflecting a global trend. The Bahamas is also a source of asylum seekers. A recent report indicates that thousands of Bahamians have sought refuge abroad, with 2,742 officially registered as refugees. Our guest today, in no particular order, we have, to my right, Christopher Davis, also known as John Qua II. We have Luby Georges. Did I say that last name correct? George. Luby George. And then we have our good brother, Brent Wong. Gentlemen, just briefly introduce yourselves. Brent, I'm going to start with you since you know, you haven't been on the show before, so we can start with you. But just tell everybody who you are, and then we'll just dive right into why you're here today.
In short, I'm a conch salad of heritage.
A conch salad of heritage.
That's the easiest way to summarize it.
Oh, wow, okay. Yeah. Luby, people know you well, but again, just introduce yourself.
Boy, I could borrow that and say that I'm from out of heritage too, because a lot of persons don't know of my Cuban background.
Wow.
Also, because my granddad was born in Cuba to a Cuban woman and a Haitian man. And I myself being born here in the Bahamas. So, yeah, and on my mother's side, she can trace some of her lineage back to, of course, if we go as far back as we need to go, we end back up home in Africa.
Right.
But there is a passage also on my mother's side that goes through Syria.
Okay.
Yeah. So in Haiti, a lot of people may not know that there are a lot of Middle Eastern persons, heritage individuals residing in Haiti. So yeah.
All right. And then, of course, John Qua II.
Christopher Davis, also known as Chief John Canoe II, Pan-Africanist, historian, author.
Yes. And I'm being told that we have Dr. Tinker online. Dr. Tinker, what's going on, my brother?
What's going on, man? That's Luby Georges. Luby, you changed your name or what? I thought it was Luby George. Now you're trying to sound more French on us.
Well, it is. Well, if we were in Haiti, it would be
George.
Yes.
Luby is my boy, man. Luby was probably one of the first, I don't know, maybe not the first, but maybe the second or third show I ever went on when I was in Nassau, probably about, that's 2015.
Wow.
Luby?
Yeah, that's quite some time. I remember, man. You took me also in the Fox Hill area down to your homestead.
Yes.
And gave me the whole story about what was the guy named Kimbo Slice.
Yes.
Yeah, Kimbo Slice. Yeah, my cousin.
Yes. You were the one that gave me the backdrop.
Skimbo slices. So you found me to lie show bad too then.
Yeah, all them Fergusons,
all them
man. They're all grandmother, I think. There were sisters.
And then you have the judo extraordinaire Roddy Ferguson. So them Fergusons.
They could fight.
All them could fight.
Don't come through that plane.
They could fight.
Don't come through that plane.
Shout out to
My
brother
great grandmother.
Street Vauxhall.
My great grandmother is Arabella Ferguson.
Oh, wow.
So you got some-
Yeah, I could fight too, right? Listen, this show entitled this show "How You Reaching the Bahamas." That's how I entitled this show. How you reaching the Bahamas? And I think, and like I said, we can do this once a month because it's just important for us to understand how we all connected. Brent, I'm gonna start with you. I was talking to Brother Brent here. That was maybe about a month ago, a little less.
About, yeah.
And we started to have this conversation about ancestry and heritage and where you come from and all that. Of course, my father was born in Nashville, Tennessee, because my grandparents, my grandfather was at Meharry Medical School, and my grandmother was at Fisk University in Nashville. But long story, they returned here back to the Bahamas. But my grandmother, Fraser Holmes, so when you're outcast rapping with Fraser Holmes, that's my great grandfather.
Oh, wow.
Right? So I have American roots. I'm sure as you dig further and further, you find the Haitian, you find the Jamaican. My full school boy, because he went to school in Jamaica. My parents were married in Jamaica. So this conch-solid aspect of, or this diasporic aspect of who we are, we were having this conversation. Mm-hmm. But as we were talking, Brent was mentioning his heritage and how, and I don't want to speak out of turn, so I'm going to let him actually explain it. But what I did remember hearing him say is that coming through Jamaica, the Chinese that came through Jamaica, they have recorded the many migrant waves coming from China through Jamaica to the point where they have it documented in what's called, what would you call this, the Red Book? Is that what it's called?
That's what it's referred to.
That's what it's referred to. So Brent, I'm going to let you explain this because I think this is fascinating, and I pray that because of this conversation, others who may have similar ways of recording migration patterns may speak up. So I can let you explain, my brother.
All right. So, believe it or not, the conversation behind what explains what this book was meant to document.
Mm-hmm. The book in studio, y'all. We can see the book. The book real.
And for the record, this is out of print.
All right.
So, my copy had to be sourced through somebody who I knew, who was actually, I think it's like the grandnephew of one of the original researchers that compiled the book.
Wow.
Right? Now, why this matters to me a lot is because this is multiple times, way more intentional effort and way more, I would like to call it ancestral sharing than you would get from than you would get from Chinese in the Bahamas. Everybody didn't come here the same way.
Okay.
Right? So I'll use a reference that I learned from your uncle, Godfrey Anius, right? Everybody didn't come here the same way, even if they came here in the same century.
Okay.
Some people came as free men.
True.
Okay? So there is waves of migration, and in this book, when you get to the section where it actually shows you the map, so if you have an historical map that shows you an entire, let's just say, multiple centuries of migration of a people, you will see where some people left a general broad area, but what happens is they left in sections. They didn't leave in sections only. They also left in waves. So in this book, it actually across different years.
Coming out of China.
Correct.
Okay.
The Hakka region, Hakka, the Hakka region, and it tells you the path they took before they actually left, and then where they actually ended up. Now, what's particularly valuable in this? It doesn't just show you that map. They actually have, I'm going to just use the words I have. They have legacy photos. So they get as much generational levels of the family present in one setting and take that picture. So what happens is there's pictures right now where the youngest child right now is 70 years old today.
Oh, wow.
So everybody else older than them, They long gone.
Wow.
Right? From this same work, they also produce a black book. It's the same people, but in Canada. So one more hop. Okay? Why this is important to me is because I can't get this much information from the Chinese immigrated and settled here.
Right.
So in the absence of getting the information from your own household, and everybody who's ever had that curiosity about their ancestors, you get to the point where if you ask questions from your parents and your siblings and they can't answer you, you start hopping over. Auntie, uncle, papa, maybe the neighbor, the auntie, uncle, mama, them, right? And then you start to realize, even if they don't have clarity on the story, or their story have too much pain, so they don't want to tell you the story.
Wow.
Right? They don't want to tell you the story. Or it may involve one or two shameful choices that they don't want to have to explain to you.
Right.
Because they're in your business. Everybody done had this conversation at least once.
Yeah. Or not.
That don't, or not.
Yeah.
That don't come before you. You focus on your, I really wish I could. But some of your life still trailing in mine.
Wow.
New questions. So what it tends to do is it causes one of two things. It either causes you to literally just create a whole new life that have nothing to do with your family. Drain it ain't just talent. Is I want to create my own story.
My Lord. I like it.
Right?
I agree.
That's how I ended up getting
So this red book is not only focusing on those who ended up in Jamaica, but through the whole Caribbean? Is that how it
because
works?
it documents who's basically the entire family lineage. So if you could track that name when they actually married out, you could also find where they are now. Why? Because you got the entire lineage here.
Right.
You know, up to a certain number of years. You see? So you might be able to get answers from mom and papa, but you probably could get it from grand-auntie, grand-uncle,
Right.
like that.
Right. Chris, you just came back from Ghana, and you know, in the African tradition, we have the griots, who will keep the stories, who will keep a lot of what I'm sure this red book has in it. There are people who are tasked with being a reservoir of information to make sure that when we come to ask questions, there's someone there to answer. And I mean, I don't want to speak out of turn, but I find that's something that you're doing for us in this country, in the Bahamas. You're our griot.
He is, yes.
You understand what I'm saying? So hearing what Brent has said, and then the work that you're doing, how does the work that you're doing tie into what you heard him share just now?
Well, certainly, you know, particularly when we talk about these sorts of topics, you know, and people, you know, I always talk about I call them the aquamarine-blooded Bahamians, and you can make a parallel with the blue-blooded Americans. And the big first part of it is people simply don't understand what it is when you say, I'm a Jamaican, I'm a Bahamian. This talks about geopolitical loyalty, and it has absolutely nothing to do with ethnicity. And so the whitest of the white, quote-unquote Bahamians, the blackest of the black Bahamian, people who mix with Chinese, people who mix with whatever, once within your soul and within your environment, of course, that plays a role. But at the end of the day, your geopolitical loyalty is a choice. I could get mad today, wake up tomorrow and say, I'm Bahamian no more. I migrating to Africa with my whole family and I cutting off everybody and I ain't Bahamian no more. Now all of a sudden I Rwandan or Ghanaian or Kenyan or any of the countries that are actually opening up to the diaspora to do things like that, right? So I think that's the first part of it. Then we had these erroneous terms. You know, I don't like to drop too much of these terms, but erroneous terms like organic Bahamian and all of that. And people oftentimes conflate ethnicity, right? And so the aquamarine-blooded Bahamian, or true Bahamian, is someone whose last name isn't Wong. You know, the last name got to be Davis. Your last name could be George, but it can't be George or St. George with the ES at the end, you know? And essentially, it's really a sad situation because then you pretty much saying, you know, well, my colonizer or my enslaver was British, yours wasn't, therefore I'm better than you.
Right.
You know? And then speaking to what Mr. Wong was speaking to, you know, and that's why I sort of really nodded in approval when he's talking about some of the, you know, the complexities of this history, which is quite different than the African one, of course. You know, generally speaking, even those that claim that they were free when they landed, all of them came, or I'd say more than 99% came against their will. right? And then when you look at the East Asian, you see all of this was a part of what they call the totem pole of racism, right? And then you still see it today where, of course, people of African descent are at the very bottom. And everyone else, and of course, people who are quote-unquote white, Western European are at the top. And everyone else in between are trying to jostle for position within this totem pole. You saw it, of course, with that horrible incident with the 14-year-old boy who was killed by a Korean shop owner, right? Yes. And I'm sure Mr. Wong might could elaborate or correct me but I know that when you look at places like Guyana and Jamaica, there's this idea today, and you had a lot of xenophobia. Most of it, of course, is towards Haitians. Side note, it was interesting when you was reading, and there was actually more American migrants in the Bahamas than there are Jamaican. And Jamaicans get way more flack from the aquamarine-blooded Bahamians than Americans do. But that's a conversation for another day. But what the British did in East Asians, and this would have been mostly people from East India, and certain groups within China itself is very diverse. We just say Chinese now, and that's the geopolitical term. But he said the Hakka region, and there are, I think, hundreds. It's all areas. There are hundreds of different groups, ethnicities, languages, dialects, and all of these things. But long story short, the British brought these East Asians over as sort of a buffer, particularly when slavery ended. So in the case of Jamaica and Guyana, a lot of these Chinese and East Indians came as indentured servants. Some by choice, some not by choice. This had to do, for example, during the period of the Raj, that old big fat wooden teeth woman, Queen Victoria, they have in Rawson Square, who I can't stand. Right. When she was the quote-unquote Empress of India, their capitalist system was so brutal that it actually caused a famine that resulted in the death of more than 30 million people. So with that type of oppression, you found that a lot of people, you ain't eating, you're starving, your family is dying from diseases and all sorts of stuff. You would find, similar to how it was in the earlier days in Europe, people will willingly even enter into indenture, right? They would find ways, because colonization existed in these places too, right? They would find ways to keep it. Now all of a sudden you're a criminal or you were indebted. Now you got to go there and then you have to do an indenture. Of course, it's very different than chattel slavery, but nonetheless, it was still slavery in a different form and by another name, right? And then you see it even with blacks where you have a lot of, let's call them our brothers, who deny that slavery ever even happened. They'll tell you, boy, find me one slave ship, and I'll find them 81. Then they'll be like, yeah, well, all that is lies. And I used to be like, so they lie about bringing Africans over, put it in the newspaper, so that 200 years later we could go back and the shipping. Then they say, make sure hit the shipping rack, right? So there's a lot of confusion about geopolitical loyalty. That's the first thing that people actually have to understand.
Go ahead, Tinko.
Let me just put a little plug, because I got to drop off. I got an interview coming up.
All right. Well, I'm happy you was able to come in.
Still campaigning.
I got you. Yes.
But listen, this topic here, I went to battle with this topic. This is a topic that excites me to talk about it, because this topic right here, when you look at indentured servitude, is what created a lot of prejudice in the Caribbean. Right. And let me explain why. Yep. And I was married to an Indian for 20 years. Okay. So I can tell you very deep how deep this goes. If you look at history and looked at who controlled the world at that time, anybody, let's go at this particular time of the world, after slavery was abolished, who controlled the world? Who was in control?
Still white supremacy in Western Europe.
No, let's forget white supremacy, the British. Let's just
the British.
Put a name on it. So if the British is in control of the world, the world superpower was the British Empire.
Right.
If you go back and look at the map and see how much land mass the British control.
Sun don't set on the British Empire.
Right, including India, because when you go to Guyana, Jamaica, Suriname, and Trinidad, there's such a disgruntlement between Africans and Indians.
Right.
Fiji, Kenya, South Africa, wherever the Indians went.
Right.
There's a lot of disgruntlement between those two groups. So if I control India, all right, I can put it cold here. You really think indentured servitude was really what it means? If I control you and I tell you, get your behind on this boat, we go into Jamaica. That's no difference from slavery, man. No matter how pretty the name they try to put on it, because you'll hear in the Caribbean real quick, And as someone from Indian origin will tell you real quick, slave. And that's supposed to make them better than the African who taught them how to cut the cane. You understand? Because don't forget now, Indians didn't know how to cut cane. When they came to the Caribbean, the African brothers taught them how to cut the cane because the cane was a cash crop for the British. Same thing with Chinese indentured servants, Germans, all of them. And if you even go back to China around these days, China was extremely poor. I mean, poor. Up until shortly after World War II, after they started to rebuild. So these indentured servants, really, again, they mightn't have come in bondage, but a lot of them was tricked, a lot of them was lied to, a lot of them was captured, a lot of them was forced, and they came in very similar conditions as African slaves, packed in those.
Yeah.
And this is where a lot of the prejudice comes from now, where one person who would have came over and did same job, but that person might have gotten a couple of pennies for doing their work, while Africans were working unpaid, and they create this hierarchy system that we're better than you because we didn't come as here as slaves.
Certainly.
We came here as indentured servants. And then another thing what the British did, which is very clever of them, is this divide and conquer. After the British started to pull out of these areas, a lot of the land, especially in Trinidad and Guyana, was given to or sold to in some cases, and some of it was given to Indians for very cheap. Where the Africans hated the land. They didn't want anything to do with the land. It's like, boy, I ain't planting nothing. I going in the city, I can make steel pan, I can make music, and we can have carnival.
Dutch disease, that's what that called.
You see what I'm saying? So when you go to Trinidad and you go to Guyana, the Indians owned the majority of the land. Because the land became very valuable as years went on. But after slavery, they didn't want anything to do with the land. Man, you just beat me and stomp me and make me work this land for free. I don't want to plan nothing. I go in town. So you would see, you go to Trinidad and Port of Spain, you would see heavy African population, less Indian population around the city capital, around the coast. You go in the countryside, heavy Indian population, still cultivating the land, and they got a lot of wealth from the land. And they tried to maintain their cultural identity through music, through speaking the language, etc. But that's very clearly, when you look at the Caribbean, is where a lot of the prejudice, in so many cases discrimination, I wouldn't call it racist, because if you look at an Indian and look at African at night, you can't tell who's who because they're both dark. But even though they'll try to tell you I'm better than you, even though they'll try to say I'm better than you, but when it comes down to that, England treated all of them as non-whites and to call all of them Negroes, to be quite honest.
I appreciate,
you know what I'm saying?
I appreciate that, Professor Tinker. I know this is something that you, I'm sure, joust with your students with in your classrooms when you were in the classroom. Are you still in the classrooms? I know
Still in the classroom.
Okay,
man.
beautiful, beautiful.
It keeps me connected.
Yeah, man. I know you say you may have to step out, so I appreciate you being here. But if you're still here after the break, I'm sure you can chime in.
No, I'll be here until 3.
All right, we got special guests Brent Wong, Luby George, and our brother John Qua II, Christopher Davis. Again, my name is Dr. Cleveland W. Anius III. We'll be back after this. Keep it locked.
Aware of vibrations around I, so I don't let the moment confound I, and I aware of myself in the midst.
Turn a trip to Burger King Nassau into a galactic adventure with the Mondo and Grogu Whopper Combo, featuring special shake fries. Whether you're a bounty hunter in training or just here for your way, Burger King Nassau has everything Mandalorian and Grogu related you could want. Grab the toys, the mugs, the crowns, and your crew, and head on down to BK and celebrate the Mandalorian and Grogu adventure with Burger King Nassau. This is the way.
At Star General, you can go gold. Comprehensive car insurance covers loss or damage from accidents, fire, theft, and third-party liability. But the Gold package gives you increased coverage for rental car and windscreen, personal accident, medical benefits, deductible waiver, and 24-hour roadside assistance where available. Our Star General Gold package also gives you up to $2,500 for accidental damage to a rental car anywhere in the Bahamas. Go gold with Star General. Insurance made simple.
Change doesn't happen in sound bites. It happens when people come together and actually talk. The forum is that conversation, where Bahamians from all walks of life work through the issues that affect us all, challenge each other, and find solutions together. Every Saturday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. The Forum with Ricardo Wells. Coming this Saturday to Guardian Radio.
Beulah gal, can you believe this? We are now the patrol queens of the neighborhood. We now large and in charge. So we need to check out what's going on in everybody's yard. What about that gun that we know that Junior and his homeboys just ran out? Can we report that too? Of course we can. But we could be in deep trouble if they find out. We need to report what we see, Beulah. When you call Crime Stoppers, they just answer your call in Miami. So then we can report everything? Guns, where they hiding the drugs, who shoot who part of which gang, or who disturbing the peace with the loud music and the motorcycles. And everybody gonna want to come live here. And then our house price will go up, gal. So what we waiting on? What's the number?
If you see something, say something. Let us all pitch in and stop the crime before it's your time. Call 328-8477 from Nassau or 242-300-8477 or text us through the Crack Crime Bahamas app. Stop the crime before it's your time.
Budgeting and saving? Yes. Investing? Check. But what if you could do more? With an RF brokerage account, you can get priority access to local investment opportunities right as they come to the market. Never miss a bond or new share offering again. Plus, you can house all your investments in one place and benefit from expert investment advice. Contact us at brokerage@rfgroup.com to start doing more today. Some conditions apply. RF, money at work.
Love the show? Want to give your support? Become a sponsor today. Call 302-2300 for our rates and packages. That's 302-2300. Become a sponsor on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
This is 6.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Weight off my chest because the heart of the lion is the pride in him. Yes, I am aware of the promise.
And we're back here on Guardian Radio today with your host, Pastor Dr. Cleveland W. Anius III, also known as Kahun Anku Sarah. How you get in the Bahamas? That's what we trying to figure out. I got special guests in here. Brent Wong, Luby George, John Quad II, Christopher Davis, and of course, Professor Tinker is online. Let me tell you, this type of show, we obviously won't get through it in this sitting. That's why we always want to have these type of conversations continuously. Right now, it's a monthly show, but you know, it could develop into a weekly show very quickly because there's a lot of information that we want to share. Let me just go to the text lines just quickly so that I could get some of these. And then we'll go to the phone line. Please let your guests know that his vast knowledge of history does not trump the English language and the ability to coin or create terms such as organic Bahamian. In comparison, ask him if foundational Black, American, or Haitian of origin are also erroneous. I don't know which guess you were speaking to.
He's speaking to me.
Okay.
I love the answer.
Yeah.
Go ahead. So, foundational Black American is something completely different than how this garbage juice called organic Bahamian does, right? So foundational Black American, Black is your color. Now, when you're talking organic, you're talking about something to do with the biology of something. Am I correct? Okay. You know what I mean? So I think right there kind of simply explains it. You know what I mean? The vast knowledge of history, I actually don't have a vast knowledge of history. Anyone who does have a basic knowledge of history, just know that you only know a little bit in your own little corner and in your own little section. You know, but I could see where the person coming from. And I would just respond to them to actually define what an organic Bahamian is. Because a foundational Black American, they still, you know, holding on to this Blackness, and it's actually about political solidarity. Though I don't agree with some of the xenophobia that creeps into that as well, and the anti-Africanness, but that's not reflective of the entire movement. Just as Anku would probably agree, I guess some fellas who call themselves Coptic prophet. Big uncle on the yacht.
Yeah.
No training, no nothing, you know. So it's very similar to that, you know. So that's what I would challenge them to do. Let's define what an organic Bahamian is, and until then, I'll continue to call it completely erroneous and even stupid.
They've tried to. I don't want to get too much into it, but I think they've tried to explain and help us to understand what an organic Bahamian is. But I always end up with more questions when they try to explain it, because my main question is always, how far back are we counting? Like, where do we stop?
Exactly.
Where do we stop?
Oh, yeah.
Because you're saying if your mommy and your daddy and your Grammy and your granddaddy, I'm like, okay, so let's keep going then.
Well, I think what's even more important is you're starting in 1973.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of people don't realize that.
A
lot of people don't realize that.
That's
you
where
want to reference your Grammy who was born in 1940, but she wasn't Bahamian.
No.
She was a British subject.
Right, exactly. So that's where the argument starts and stops for me.
It falls
But even basic genetics, basic DNA, and I have to explain, and of course, I like to use your family, of course, an example. Brent Anius coming over, we know that wasn't his real name.
Right.
But that only represents one line.
Right.
It's extremely powerful that your ancestors were able to document and keep that. And all Bahamians now use your family's story for solidarity with the Yoruba people. You understand? We know that's a part of who we are.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you get 2 parents.
Right.
4 grandparents.
Right.
8 great-grandparents.
Right.
So by the time you reach 6 generations back, you're talking about 128 people that came together to make you. So you can't say, well, I descended from slaves.
Right.
Or I descended from, we are literally, and that's one of the beauties of knowing genetics, because it actually shows you how close we are and how interconnected we are.
And that's why I want to do these type of shows, because I feel that we are, in many ways, the same people responding differently to the same oppression.
Yes.
Right.
And so that's why I think these conversations are important. Anyway, let's get to the phone lines. It's lit up. Caller, you're live.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, gentlemen. First of all, appreciate the situation about the indentured labor versus who came to this region, and the indigenous people who are the Lucan, the Amerindian, the Carib, the Arawaks, and all those. They were also here. But I like that last point that you made about going back to the grandparents. That show that we ought to have respect for everyone.
Yep.
I'm wondering if you're paying attention to what's happening in South Africa right now.
And I just was talking about that off air, and we Bahamians need to learn from that. I tell you, we need to learn from that.
But explain it when he comes up, you can explain it.
Actually, the place that survived apartheid.
Yep.
That also, in my opinion, I'm in agreement with them asking to end the genocide in Gaza.
Right.
But what is being done right now is also for political gain since election, local government election is coming up. And this similar thing happened in Ghana. I think it was with Nigeria, some 40, 50 years ago.
Right.
So the world is cycle, and we ought to learn from them and also avoid the pitfalls.
Yes, I agree. Thank you so much.
Sorry, last but not least, I have a question for Luby. I want a proposal. I'd like for Luby to assist in teaching and sharing Creole among the masses, among us all, so that we can relate. Because it's good to be bilingual and multilingual. If you go to Suriname,
you have an accent. Where are you from?
25 languages in Suriname.
Are you from
You go to the signs on the street in Spanish and in English. And you hear right now announced on Guardian Radio that there is a Usain Bolt stadium in Barbados.
Right.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They've been promoting this, a youth, global youth track and field event.
Oh, that's powerful.
Like that.
Wow.
That's powerful.
Wow. Caller, Dr. Tinker was asking where your accent is from.
I'm a mixer. I got a tight tongue, a lisp. But I was conceived in Trinidad and Tobago. I was living in Guyana. I studied in Jamaica. My stepmother from Antigua.
Oh, so that's all right.
Wow.
Okay, so hold on. So what's the perception? What's your take on how the Indians and the Africans interact when it comes to the indentured servitude position in Trinidad?
Yeah, I am actually, right before you say that, I'm proud to be a Bahamian as well. But let's go. Let's
All right,
back
good,
it up.
man. You got a lot of titles.
Let's back it up. The Indians in Trinidad, they have actually integrated more in Trinidad than in Guyana.
Right.
I grew up in Guyana, even though I didn't live in Trinidad because there was a different situation.
Okay.
Yeah, my mother's from Trinidad, by the way. Sapario. Yeah.
Oh,
I was in Trinidad just twice in November last year and also in March this year. And as I said, they do well together. But what the Indian have done, or what the black are doing, not you can't always blame others.
Right.
My grandfather lived in Pasadena, California. Dr. Bowling. Bought all kind of plantation in Guyana, and we black people fight with each other and end up selling it to the Indians. That's because the Europeans sold the land to the Indians. We don't know the use of land, and when we sold out, my family sold out most of the land to the Indians. The Indian gave them the land by the river bank.
Mm-hmm.
And the river is eroding the land, and the Indians smartly took the inside land. And so we gotta sometimes blame ourselves, but I think we're getting over it, hopefully. And I'm all for unity.
Yeah, I appreciate the call, man. Thank you so much.
That's what's important.
So Brother Wong, Brent, you brought the Red Book, and I really want people to appreciate you bringing this Red Book here. And when you utilize it, right? How are you utilizing the Red Book, and what is it edifying, or what is the rationale, or just you sought after this book. So I really want people to understand why this book is important to you, and how you use it.
Okay.
Is there a dragon on that Red Book?
No.
What?
I'll hold it up.
But yeah, explain why this book is important, because I think if people really appreciated the fact that you have the ability to trace your lineage for generations and what it does for you. I think they'd be very, very, very appreciative of what the book means. So just explain how you use the book and why it's important to you.
All right. So for starters, I realized that even if you have, let's just say, 5 siblings, any one of us who have one or more siblings, you did not have the same parents growing up.
Say it again.
You have a different set of parents than your siblings had growing up. Y'all could grow up in the same house. Mm-hmm. They could both be your parents.
Wow.
Both same mother and father. You did not get the same version of them parents.
That's true.
As your siblings got.
That's true.
That's why there's a whole concept.
They get soft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
They get soft.
So
they could stay up. I couldn't stay up.
Yeah. Right. Right. This ain't got no bad time.
Right.
You get soft in your age. You don't do nothing. They don't even know what beating is. They don't know what tyrant you is. Right? You used to be a drill sergeant with me. Right? So here's why I'm saying that. I'm saying that because any one memory you had, you have an individual memory of everything that you experience in life, but you also have shared memories.
Mm-hmm.
The shared memories is what you call culture.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Shared memories is what you call culture. When you have culture across generations, it's now history.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? Your history could be a national history.
Mm-hmm.
It could be an indigenous history.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a heritage history. Because what happens is you now starting to we could agree on these things.
Right.
So, like, one of the things that I realized we agree on here is, and I'm glad that we're having this discussion here and we pointed this out, the nationality of Bahamians started in 1973.
Yeah.
Right.
Before that, we were a British overseas territory, better known as a colony.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that's so important to
that's
highlight.
Important to right.
Write that on the wall.
Right. So Bahamian is a nationality.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because we agree on foods, music, some things that happened since then, that's now called cultural history.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Cultural heritage.
Cultural heritage.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Based on nationality.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
For this particular geographical area we call the Bahamas.
Mm-hmm.
Why I wanted this is because I couldn't get enough consensus for the Chinese to migrate and settle in the Bahamas.
Okay.
So okay, since I
what are you getting when you go to them? When you go to the Chinese who migrated to the Bahamas, are you getting hitting walls?
Oh yeah, dry eye. Why you want to know?
Wow.
How would you respond to an ancestor if you ask them questions and you get why you want to know?
Because I want to know me.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to know
That's
me.
what it is. Yeah.
That's the first one, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Certainly.
But I could pretty much say a lot of us will feel the response of why you want to know before we think about it. We will have a thought first. We'll have a feeling first.
Yes, yes. That'll cut deep.
You're right.
Why you denying?
You can't verbalize it all the time. Yeah.
Right. Sometimes people don't have the words right away.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
Right? So I was like, okay, well, here's the thing. Even if I do get some answers, because I did this like 27 years.
Mm-hmm.
To put things in perspective, I've lived Fort Charlotte, Fort Fink, Soldier Road North, which is just south of Nottage.
Mm-hmm.
Most people count that village estates. If you know it, villages. So Nottage is the north end of Soldier Road.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's village estates. Then literally Woodlawn is immediate, right?
Mm-hmm.
I now live in the south.
Right.
Right? Now, somebody says, what's the importance of that? If you listen to all those areas, there's a certain set of people that are gathered primarily in those areas.
Yes, yes, certainly.
That's my cultural experience. I came to learn about my Chinese heritage and culture at 17 years old.
Wow. Wow.
That's a lot to process.
Yeah.
That's the coming of age, rite of passage for a lot of us, right?
Yes.
So everything I had to learn from scratch. So if I asking you first, I get in your first hand take. If I hit in a roadblock there, I can go ask other people who ain't afraid to share. Because I wasn't only asking my father's parents and siblings and stuff like that. I was asking everybody in the community. And I realized there was this common response. For some people, that wasn't your history. So you ain't got no business asking that question. You kind of like could pick it
Yeah.
up.
Oh, yeah, certainly.
It was implied. It was implied. Yeah.
You could pick it up.
You weren't supposed to know this.
Yeah.
Correct. And then when you start to realize why some of them did that is because, again, a lot of that was marked by trauma.
Right.
They didn't move here because they wanted to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? So I said, okay, good. I ain't got to press you. Why? Everybody did not have the same experience of that migration pattern. Okay, cool. No problem. Let me go find what my cousins did. Now, when I say cousins, using the same reference, if we actually trace back the common grandparents and the further up you go, the closer connected you really realize you are.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what this did was, this caused me to recognize that if you are a Chinese in the Bahamas or in the Caribbean, I automatically call you cousin. Why?
Yes.
Them people didn't root from here. You migrate here. So at minimum, we have that in common.
Right.
Right? And if you black and Chinese, man, listen, you
cousin.
Yeah, you cousin. And one of the things that's been more important in the last year and a half is the concept we'll all be familiar with. Because we all have different levels of exposure with business. Code switching.
Yeah.
You code switch to preserve your own natural culture and tongue and history. But you transfer to something that they would officially call a lingua franca, a language of exchange.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. You see it in West Africa, where you go to Ghana, Nigeria, they have pidgin. And it's the same here. We are Kalakichi, I guess you could say.
Correct.
Bahamian. And it's not that we trying to quote unquote speak good for white people, but it's just about speaking
Understanding.
the way that they could understand.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Wow, we're hard on the news break. Professor Tinker, I appreciate you joining in. You have anything before we go off to the news?
No, man, listen, it sounds good. I'm jumping on my interview now, but you guys definitely saying some good stuff, so hopefully we have more time to pick this up another day.
Jackie, what's up? I sent you a picture of that book so you can see what's going on.
All right, you got the dragon on it?
No. No dragon.
All right.
We're going to run to the news and pay some bills here on Guardian Radio today. How you reach here in the Bahamas? That's what we're asking about. And we can continue to ask this question because I think a lot of people don't really ask the question. Or they meet walls, as Brent is saying, but he jump over them walls or go around them or dig under them to get some more answers. So that's something that we gonna have to do. Callers, I do apologize. We're gonna get to you right after the break. But again, keep it locked here on 96.9. Fresh News, Smart Talk all day. Back after this.
So I don't let the moment confound I.
This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news and intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversations. 96.9 FM.
Back here on Guardian Radio today. Listen, how you get here in the Bahamas? I mean, listen, this conversation, I gotta say that. So, yes, I am an Anius. My mother is a Hana, right? And oftentimes people will say, well, why you only talk about the Anius side of your family, or you don't speak about the Hana side as much? And let me just explain from my perspective, when I say Anius, what I mean. My mother took on the name Anius. So when I say Anius, I am thinking about my mother, even though the Hana side is not hearing Hana, and that's why I'm explaining this. I am talking about my mother. My mother today, all of her documents, even though she and my father divorced and she's remarried, her documents still in Anius. You understand? If she going away, she put an Anius on her luggage. Right. Because she got passport in Anius. Mm-hmm. But similar to what Brent was saying, in the Hana, Hasty Times, in that family, when you try to get things done with regard to questioning, you meet walls. Right? Now the Anius family, my granddaddy, he wrote books. Right. So I dealing with who left information first. Yeah, right. Then I gotta go deal with the Hana Hasty Time situation because there's a lot of records that are kept. And there's a beautiful family reunion that we're having now on a regular basis. And I pray that what comes out of it is more understanding. But the reality of the situation is, hey, there's a lot of walls there. You understand? So I just wanted to put that out there. I love my Hana blood. You understand? I'm always referencing my mother, even if I say Anius. But my daddy didn't take on Hana. My mommy took on Anius. You understand? But let's go to the phone lines right quick, and then I got a zillion texts. I can try to screen through them and get to them. Call you live.
Good day to all.
Hey, how you doing, man? Thanks for holding.
If I say anything here sounds strange, blame uncool. That's my teacher.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm a poor African descendant born in the Bahamas.
Okay.
However, Haiti history is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
In 1807, Henry Crystal Fee declared himself king of North Haiti. On July 126, I'm declaring myself prince of the I am that I am.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because my last name is Williams, I will be known as Prince William from now on.
Okay.
This declaration today, the first page of my book, Prince in the Bahamas. By the way, it'll be my third book. Hey, you guys have a good day.
All right. Yes, I appreciate it. Prince William. That's who just called. Let's go back to the phone lines. Call you live. Go ahead, caller.
Hello.
Yes, I'm listening. We're listening. You live?
Hi, Doc. How you doing, Sparky?
Hey, Sparky. Thanks for calling, man.
And thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, McCall. Thank you, producer, man. You know, he doesn't know I will go on. And he come to me and say, I got you next, Sparky. So.
Yeah, man. You know, we communicating, but it's just a lot going on. So I appreciate you holding.
Yeah, I could tell from the conversations a lot. It can be done today.
Yeah.
And thanks for all your guests with you. But, you know, I'm 75, and I seem to be, to me, I feel like I was the only one in the family researching my family.
Mm-hmm.
On my mother's side, her name is Gwendolyn Mercedes Joy Mins. Her first husband was a Pinder. He died from cancer. And then she married my father, Jean Fountain. So that's Fountain on my father's side. Mm-hmm. But she was a Mins, but her mother was a Devoe. Mm-hmm. And Devoe is actually French, which is Devoe. Now, Ida Devoe, my grandmother, was sister to Leon Devoe.
Okay.
And Leon Devoe and Ida Devoe, they started the Nassau Tribune back in 1906. Okay? And he died in 1913, somewhere around there. So that's when the Tribune opened. Now, on my father's side is Fountain, which is also French, and that's Fontaine. Mm-hmm. They lived on West Street Hill, and my grandfather was Harold Jackson Fountain. He died when I was 4 years old in 1955. Now, I've been trying to follow with my fountains come from. And I know the fountains, they have fountains down in Texas. Fountain family owned actually a yacht and a boat building company. And when we saw those races in the harbor, a guy, Mr. Fountain, used to even come over there with a fountain helicopter. Mm. So that's the fountains from Texas somewhere. There's also fountains up in New York. Mm. And then there's the place in France. And my cousin, Eric Mintz, who wrote The Foxhill Gal, his mother was Esther Mintz. They used to call her Esther Tech. Mm-hmm. My mother's older sister was Esther Tech, Esther Mintz. That's the Foxhill Gal. Now, I've been trying to find out, but when you go so far with your uncles, I don't know if they're ashamed to say there's also fountains that came from Haiti. Mm. Now, I don't know, because they seem to be either ashamed to say where they come from, because, you know, it was a bad thing one time ago to say it came from Haiti. Mm. But there's a lot of people during the time, and a lot of Haitians used to come to the Bahamas, even right in our harbor, Prince George Dock, Bahamas, and a lot of them started staying in the Bahamas back then. And then a lot of Haitians went to Abaco when the Keys, Mr. Keedom, had farming up in Abaco, and he used a lot of Haitians up in Abaco. That's why the Haitians Abaco says more us here than yours. Because all the up in Haiti, called the mud and everything up in Abaco, I think there's more Haitians in Abaco than Abaconians. So we all mix up, but a lot of people are ashamed to find out where they come from, where there's black and white. But you ever notice when you hear black and white, there's only two colors that they call black and white, start by the white man. Everybody else is called by their country. Chinese, Japanese.
They don't call them yellow.
Filipinos,
Indians,
Mexicans, Peruvians, Brazilians, Chileans, and stuff. The only two colors they call in human being life is black and white. That's Africans, Europeans, and Englishmen. Like you say, the English governed the world one time ago. Yeah. And then a lot of the English and Irish left England and ran to America, where they met the English, the American Indians. They took the Indians' land and they sent some of them all the way up into they call them Eskimos. If you look at the Eskimos and the American Indians, they basically nearly look the same. And they pushed the Indians further west, up in the mountains and put them on what they call reservations. And then the whites took over America, and they used the blacks as slaves and the Chinese to help them build America. Now the white people in America trying to tell everybody, get out of America, go back home.
Thank you so much, Sparky. Yes,
Sparky's deep.
Yeah, Sparky dropping it. We didn't want to go that far today. We trying to clear up this situation.
So,
but go ahead, Chris.
So I have a comment. Yeah. So as far as I understand, the fountain name is I would classify with the name Devoe and also Poitier. And so there's sometimes an assumption that because the name is of French origin, that it must have been a relationship with Saint-Domingue or Haiti, which 90% of the time is the case. But I've often heard people say that the fountain name, the Poitier name, and the Devoe name come from Haiti in the Bahamas, which they actually don't. So, so they are actually what they call French Huguenot names. So Devoe used to be two words, and you will even see it in old records spelled D.E., and then they'll have Devoe separate, right? So that's the Colonel Andrew Devoe, and people assume that he was from Haiti, but he was here from the early 1780s before the revolution even started. You had some migration even before that. So I would hope Sparky's still listening, but I want him to check that. But I do believe that Fontaine is a French name. He's correct in that, but it's a Huguenot name. He also mentioned the Mins. So the Mins one is one that we could pinpoint with a hammer. Every single Mins in the Bahamas is descended from an indentured baker by the name of John Mins, who snuck on a boat and came here. But more importantly, a Congolese princess, to describe her in modern terms. But she was, we believe, of the Bakongo people, and she was a young lady who was also on this boat with John Mins. And the boat began to sink about 1.5 miles off the shore, off the coast of New Providence, the shore, whatever you want to call it. And what she did was she actually tied this man to a mattress head and fastened a teeth, holding the rope with a teeth, swim this man there and save his life. Now, shout out to Charlotte Henney, who's actually descended from this family line as well. And me and her were doing a lot of research on Rosette Mins, which is the name of the woman, years back. So every single Mins, the dark black ones,
yes,
and the light ones, and the white set, all descended from
Yeah.
that. And when you look at their line, it's actually quite, so the first black British man in history was their grandson. You know what I mean? One of the first black ordained ministers, Samuel Mins, was one of their sons. The ones that come out a little dark, it's funny how race workers, they tended to be a little more, let's say, cool. They use young people term. And you had people like John Mins who come out looking white, went to Inagua, live as a white man, owned the slave plantation, and then it was his son who became the first mayor of African descent in British history. And then his son became the first person of African descent. I can't remember but he won a Medal of Honor or the equivalent on the British side in World War I, and then died tragically. So these families are very important. And again, it shows you about this migration. And what's so funny is everyone is migrate for almost exactly the same reasons. A better life, resources.
Yeah,
that's
what it is.
Yeah, you know, I did a course. I love to shout this educator out. Badia Seymour right there at UB, where we were doing a course on heritage tourism. And she pretty much showed you proportionately. The numbers were varied, but essentially, overall, the numbers of Bahamians that are living under the radar in America, proportionately, is far greater than the proportion of Haitian migrants in the Bahamas, right? So you're talking about a country of about, what, 11, 12 million people.
Yeah.
And as you said, the number said somewhere, like I think you said 60,000 or something like that.
Yeah,
which is a tiny portion of the overall population. But how many Bahamians living in America? Tens of thousands.
Right.
You right? I mean, up, I would say it's close to 20%. You understand? So
Yeah.
the Haitian diaspora, there's only a tiny percentage that actually even lives in the Bahamas, right? And that's where you have this kind of foggy line between a genuine concern for migratory movements and who's coming in, who's coming out, scarcity of resources, and straight up xenophobia, right?
But as a biologist, we learn about 7 characteristics of living things. One of them is irritability. So if a plant is not getting the amount of sun it needs, it's gonna move.
Right.
You understand? People are the same way. If you don't have resources in here, we gotta go over here.
Right.
So you're right. Yeah. Let's go back to the phone lines. Call your live.
Yes, sir. Good day.
Hey, thanks for calling.
You know, when we talk about, some of us, like, we look at migration, right? That's good or positive. You know, people come migrate free. I mean, not free, but on their free will, at their free will. But then for those who were forced to migrate, I mean, to slavery, right? Those people, you know, I see them as people who are more entitled to those who migrate, right? On the free will. You understand me? When we talk about the nation of the Bahamas, we want to talk about it like you guys talk about 73. What about the Chinese? When we talk about the Chinese nation, you understand what I'm saying? We don't say it's just the Chinese, and how long were they Chinese? the nation. You understand?
And
me?
that's why
It's
we got Brent Young here today. Brent Young here today to share some of his
but
story.
I'm saying he didn't come here by force. He came here. I mean, I wouldn't think not.
Well, let's ask him.
His ancestors, same as my ancestors.
Yeah.
They came. They was forced in the days and capers. They came to the Bahamas at their own free will.
Yeah.
So they should not be entitled to those Bahamians who came here. Who are, I mean, by
So let
force.
me hear you properly. You're saying and I was looking up the difference between immigrate and emigrate.
Right.
Yeah,
There's a difference.
There's a difference.
Right.
Yeah, this is important.
That's important. There's a difference, right.
So those who emigrated, you're saying they shouldn't have as much rights as the ones who immigrated, the ones who actually were forced.
Who came here as slaves against their free will. Right?
Okay.
So we don't have to you know what I mean?
That's another division.
With immigration, migrate, you know?
Yeah. Thank you so much,
so,
caller.
okay, let's get a different angle, right? You have families fighting, siblings fighting, right? You have nations fighting. You understand me? Races fighting other races. Religious people fighting other religions. See, migration, that's why I would say that migration is a problem. It creates a problem for the masses.
Yeah, but see, remember though, migration, see, you even deciphered between you know, migration is a complex thing.
Yeah. Very complex.
Yes.
Like you say, like with your, I don't know if you said it was your father or your grandfather, who of course came as an enslaved African to Turks Island, and then he willingly came to the Bahamas, right? Now let me paint another picture. You might be familiar with what's going on in Nigeria, where Trump and lie and say it's some type of Christian genocide. Sometimes migration is just a fact of human existence. So currently the Sahara Desert is actually growing. So they can just make you think like these Africans just crazy and just fighting and you know, but it's actually a legitimate scarcity of resources. And the conflicts in Nigeria are more so between Islamic extremists and over water resources, river resources, arable land. That is what a lot of that fighting is over. And as a matter of fact, the Muslim extremists have killed more moderate Muslims, like 10 times over, than they have Christians, just because of proximity, because the Muslims living in the north, the extremist ones up there, and then you have heard. So it's all these complex issues.
People are fighting.
So when those Fulanis and those houses from the north, who most of whom are Islamic as well, move into Igbo territory more in the center or anything like that, you know, it creates these conflicts, right? But also it's another thing with migration. So let's say tomorrow, you know, they hear Anku on the radio, you boy them from Hot 97 New York, call Anku and say, listen, we can pay you $2 million a month to run with podcast, right? You know, all of a sudden we ain't see Anku no more. 6 months later we just see Anku come back. The nose, the ring he up and he know he get, but 10 ring and he knows solid diamond. So that ain't a bad migration, but of course I understand where you're coming from too. And with this complex history, I think that people of African descent, particularly when you look at what the previous caller mentioned, the situation in Guyana, we've seen some of the videos. I come from a very diverse family myself, and in Trinidad, and so I have first cousins.
Right, so you should see that. And look at the situation in Trinidad. You have the Trinidad came as indentured servants, right? And they are what you call, and they are above the African slaves. And they still are.
But remember that was
they
done by the British.
Them. You understand them? Nation people fighting amongst themselves, just people from another nation coming in and migrating. That's the problem.
But to counter what you also said, right? Some migration is, I say, it's more complex. I don't think it's a all good or all
multi-level. Because we are a melting pot in the Bahamas, we feel like that.
So even to give one more example,
thanks, caller. Appreciate it.
We could use the Bahamas as an example.
Right. But when you look at, let's look
Put
at
in ourselves.
Yes.
Right. When you look at ancient civilization in modern Qatar, one of the richest nations on earth. Most of their citizens, most of the people living in their country are not citizens of Qatar and are not Qatari. Right. Only about 20%. Okay. Now, if you want to take it back to our people, let's talk about the Kingdom of Mali, which was an Islamic kingdom. And as you know, Anku, you had the Dogon, you had you had all these different diverse groups living in Mapam Gugwe in Zimbabwe, you know. So migration was always, and for me, you know, different nations take a different thing. I remember when I was in Ghana, and this is, of course, during the great struggles of the great Ibrahim Traore. But within that, you have a lot of migration coming out of Burkina Faso.
Right.
And it was literally an entire village that was almost wiped out. And there were all of these survivors, like 70% of whom were women and children.
Right.
And you know what happened? Man, you had villages scrambling.
Wow.
For these people to come and live in
in
their village.
Right.
You understand? Especially with all them women, right?
Yeah.
Right? So it's weird how the Bahamas, South Africa, Trinidad, it seems like there's this
a lot of
strange
similarities.
thing. Right.
Yeah.
And we have this term Bahamian apartheid.
Mm.
And so when you look at the similar demographics, the similar historic dynamics, and it's a fair thing too. Because look at the Bahamas. Where are we? We north of Cuba and Haiti. Cuba had that, which is of course linked to race, but a more socialist class revolution. Haiti did the work and freed themselves and been paying for it for over 200 years. We don't even need to get into all of that.
Right.
Then you have the United States, where blacks are the minority and they were being lynched and all of these things, and still happening to this day in various forms. And here we are, this little country with a few thousand people in the middle. So it's almost a fair thing. It is a genuine fair, but
we live on the highway. We literally live on the highway from south to north, north to south.
And you have seen it in our historical narratives in school. Oh, well, slavery wasn't so bad. Like,
it was good slavery.
Or like it was oh, we ain't like them Haitians and them Trinidadians who had
we
sugar
had satin whips. It tickled us.
Right, you see? So and it's this fear. And speaking with Pan-Africanists, again, it's always these complex things. It's not a one size, one answer fit all type of thing. When you look at the Bahamas from a Pan-African perspective, you could look at a nation that's wealthy, the only independent, well, that's another argument, but we'll do another one on that. But the only, let's say, quasi-to independent country that makes their own laws, that their dollar is equal with the United States. You could come in and see the quality of living is better. I mean, we just spend all morning round over potholes.
That's the big issue.
Right. They ain't round but potholes. I can tell you that now.
Yeah.
Do we have a road?
I'm telling you, right.
For the pothole of development.
So, right. Yeah. But at the same time, there's this feeling amongst people like us who are a little more socially conscious, Afrocentric leaning, that we've sort of sold a part of our soul to have this status within the African diaspora or the world. And a part of that was we were just clowning on this now. Well, we the good black people.
Yeah.
We ain't like the other black people.
Yeah.
And that's a big
all
part
too
of it.
savage.
Right,
Yeah. But Luby,
we don't run
you were referencing the fact that we don't even have to go down the road. We could just focus right here.
All of what we were saying, and when you think about the scarcity as it pertains to resources, the most simplest of examples for me is right at home.
Right.
You look at Nassau being heavily populated, and the family of islands.
So it's sparse. Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
That's migration within itself. Persons are migrating from Abaco, the Exumas, the family of islands to Nassau for a particular reason. There is a push factor on the family islands, and Nassau has the pull factor, and that's why you're coming here. And the same happens with persons, even the executives that may be coming from the United States, or Canada. There is something pulling them towards the Bahamas, just as there's something pulling that person from Cuba or Haiti or as far as China to the Bahamas. So migration, while it may be complex, I think we overthink it. We overthink it sometimes.
And that's why this is such an important conversation. So Brent, with your Chinese, what have you found out? Were you all brought here? Did you choose to come here? I mean, what have you found?
So chose to is the short summary.
Okay.
The paternal side. So my dad's father and grandfather came because they just had enough of the conditions that they was faced with at the time. Very few people know about this little blip in history called the Japanese invasion of China.
Yep. That's a big
That's a
big blip.
Yeah, that's a big blip.
Right? Big blip.
We don't talk about it.
Right. But unless you're from there, right? Or unless you connected to somebody who's acutely connected to that memory,
right?
Remember the shared memory? Then what happens is that means nothing to you. Right? So what happens is only your pain matters to you. Right? And as far as they're concerned, what you come here for? Right? And some of them would say it.
I know why I come here.
Right.
What you come here for?
What you come here for?
The music stopped.
Right? What you come here for? Right? So what happens is there was a situation where this would most be recognizable to people who understand what the Holocaust was and genocide. So there was a point where they were, Japanese invasion of China.
Yeah.
There was a point where the people who had no intentions to get involved in this conflict, this was a situation where the conflict came to them.
Right.
To live, they had to flee where they own things. They had to flee where they own things. So they had to escape to some place where you ain't coming for them.
Right.
You could only survive so long when the natural resources you needed for quality of life start to run out. Then your family start to die off. So when the nearest opportunity for you to go as far, because everybody's thinking, but it's so, at some point, when the irritability kicked in, when that irritability kicked in locally, you start thinking anywhere from here. But what happens is the human condition is, if you press me hard enough, I won't go, listen good, as far from here as I could get. Because obviously, them people don't grade me as bad.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. Common, right?
I'd be a stranger in that line. I could put on a new identity.
You don't know me to oppress me.
You don't know me to oppress me. Wow.
Right? So.
And that's powerful, man.
Yeah.
So the concept of the slow boat from China?
Yeah.
Real story.
People could Google things like, so a lot of the World War II and World War I documentaries, they now starting to really talk about what was going on in China.
Right.
And of course, we acknowledge and sympathize heavily with the Ashkenazi Jewish Holocaust. But when we're talking numbers, China, it's incomparable, you know. And even during that period, you had more people died during that period than died in the Middle Passage in the transatlantic slave trade, you know. And then, sorry to interject, but even with China, you know, you had the Germans there, you had the French there, you had the Dutch there, you had the British there, you had the Spanish there, you had the Portuguese there. All these people, you know, the Bahamas only had to deal with the British for the most part, a little bit of French and Spanish and American imperialism here and there. But, you know, and again, those migrations, people, like you said, like how is it, like people would say, oh, well, you know, we came here on our own, and even the other caller, you know, but again, a lot of things are much
short
more
summary
in depth. Right.
Chose, but it was because I needed safety, quality of life, you know.
What's the alternative? Death or starvation.
So how do we
and die?
Haitians go there?
You know what I mean?
So how did the Haitians go there?
Right. Exactly.
Similar story.
Right.
You know, you talk about imperialism and invasion and genocide, but Haiti had its own version of that. You know, 1915, great old USA came in, invaded Haiti, and stayed there for somewhat 15 to 30 years.
President Trujillo committed genocide right on the border.
Right on the border.
The
Massacre River.
Yeah.
And I think what fascinates me, and I know we won't get to it in this conversation, is when we began to really identify with the lines that were drawn. Because when you start going back far enough, you start seeing where we're really one family, right? But we hold fast. Wow, the book of one family on it. The red book, right?
Little nice Valley boy. Hold on.
Now the cousins just need to stop fighting.
Right, you know. Right? You know what's stronger than us, we gotta get. Too much peace going on.
But you know, like another show that I know we like, because a lot of these comments are about indentured servants versus chattel slavery, and we ain't gonna get into that today. But we could,
certainly.
But you started out the show, John Quad, talking about this reality of political loyalty,
right?
You know, and I think a lot of what we call identity is really that.
Exactly. Right.
Without us really understanding the substantive aspects of who we truly are.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But let's go to the phone lines here on Garden Radio today. Call you live.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hey, thanks for calling.
Hey, great show. Great show.
Thank you.
I'm catching the show late, so I don't know if this.
Well, we just asking how you get here in the Bahamas. That's really that's kind of how you get here.
Now, is there a person of Chinese descent?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, now here's a curveball I'm going to throw to the historian, right? I don't know if he's aware of it, but during the 50s and 60s, during the Papa Doc era, right?
Right.
Then the merchant class was was expelled out of Haiti, right?
Right.
Many of those were Chinese,
Right.
right? Who went to Haiti, and who was doing very well in Haiti as merchants, right? Many of those Chinese, they went to Haiti during the 20s and 30s, and they had kids, and their kids were born in Haiti, right? But during the expel, many of those kids and grandkids came to the Bahamas and opened up shop. Are you aware of those Chinese who came to the Bahamas, who are still in the Bahamas?
Well, I was aware of course, a lot of those merchants of Chinese descent, it was a lot more political than that as well, because they labeled all Asians at the time as communists, essentially, right? And of course, by that time, the Mao Revolution had already happened as well. And you have to remember, Papa Doc was supported. Let me don't call too much letters, because I want my boy Uncle get no trouble. But we know who Papa Doc was supported by during the Cold War, which is why such a brutal man could have retained power for so long, right? Because he was promoting capitalism, right? So now I'm not aware that Chinese actually came that way. I was more so aware of
the first time I heard.
Let me ask Brent, if you heard
or so, right?
Did you hear anything
But
in regards to what
did. Yeah.
No, and I was going to John to clarify.
I just wanted to give you a chance in case.
No. I taking notes.
Right, yeah. So, but it would certainly make sense. And then you have to remember too, particularly after slavery, late 1800s, early 1900s, we had an absolutely beautiful relationship of trade with Haiti. You could just check all the newspapers from that time period, look at all the shipping record from Haiti with rice and grits and all these different things. And that actually increased as Bahamians became more comfortable as from the 1920s, and then of course with the era of Papa Doc and then the U.S. invasions and all of these things, then it became a place where Haiti even struggled to feed themselves. And obviously when it's like that, the import, the exports decrease, right? But we have to be careful, you know. And I will use a quote because I don't want to accuse the fella going in a certain direction, but just in case he's going in that direction, I can use a quote by Stokely Carmichael, aka Kwame Ture. Though he was speaking about the Vietnam War, but I think it definitely applies to this conversation. And he essentially said to African Americans who in America, when they was recruiting them to go to fight in the Vietnam War, he was like, man, ain't none of them Asians ever called me.
That's right. That's right.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
And again, that's why I actually opened up with this sort of totem pole of racism and actually explaining that. You understand what I'm saying? And those of us in the middle and to the bottom, we kind of shuffling and jostling for different positions on this. One of the most crucial examples to take it to another Asian sort of African relationship would be that with Gandhi. Okay. Even Martin Luther King himself used Gandhi as inspiration. And we now know two horrible things about Gandhi. I just speak to the racism. The other one is just as horrible, if not worse. But we ain't get into that. You know, that's But Gandhi was the man that called blacks in South Africa kafirs. He promoted Indians being over blacks and all of these things, which is something that he later, of course, expressed regret for, you know, but he did do a lot of damage in South Africa, if we being quite honest. But at the end of the day, for me, and y'all know I have certain radical revolutionary sentiments, you know, and there are problems, right? But we have to remember that racism is something that came out of Western Europe and that culture, you understand? And that at the end of the day, we all crabs in this barrel. Certain people might be higher up on the barrel and all of these things, right? But again, when you understand the actual situation in China, you know, there are many oppressed people. You know, this is no criticism, of course, of the present Chinese government or regime. I'm not doing that at all. As a matter of fact, it's a reason why many in the African diaspora are leaning more towards China than the West right now. We don't need to get into that either. Right. But at the end of the day, when you look at the relationship between Chinese and Africans, particularly even in the Caribbean, of course, we could, and even in America, we could pinpoint certain incidences. The most recent one, as we mentioned earlier, with the Korean shop owner killing a black guy. But at the end of the day, we all kind of in the same boat. The Chinese, Asians did not perpetrate chattel slavery. on that, and we don't want to get into the indentured servant, right? But what Africans experience.
Yeah, that's another show. Yeah,
right. You know, I don't see Chinese been here very long. A guy who, for fun, I schooled enslaved relatives. I don't think I've ever seen a Chinese national owning any plantation in the entire Caribbean, to my knowledge. And if it is, it's minuscule, you know. But you add mulattoes and others who own, you see. So again, it's complex, and not to try to identify white people as the sole enemy of Africans. We got to go chop them up.
It's a system of racism, white supremacy.
Thank you.
That
It
can be
is
run
with
by
whites at the top.
it is a system. It's a system,
right? You see.
Yeah.
So we have to be careful in branding and all that, and worrying about who coming in and all that, and all of this enriches our culture.
Yeah.
Because we eat fried rice. We go in West Africa.
Commonalities here.
The Chinese is use sorcy. They call it bitter melon. Sorcy originates in China.
Okay.
And then became popular in Africa, and then came to the Bahamas.
We got some white Americans who's admonished other white Americans. Listen, while y'all eating this Mexican food, right? Y'all be hating the Mexicans.
You know what I mean?
While y'all salsa and ding. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna run to a break here on Guardian Radio today. We asking the question, how you get here in the Bahamas, man? Back after this.
Oh, I aware of myself in the midst, aware of vibrations around I, so I don't let the moment confound I, and I aware.
Giant slices, perfectly baked, foldable. Marcos is bringing New York to your neighborhood for just $19.95. Meet the Marcos New Yorker Pizza. Built with Marcos fresh dough, rich sauce, and fresh, never frozen 3-cheese blend. This is pizza the New York way. If you can't fold New York style, go big. Fold it, love it. Big slices, big flavor. The New Yorker Pizza, now at Marcos for $19.95. Order now at MarcosPizzaBahamas.com.
Guess who's back?
It's that time again for the 31st annual Michael Scootery Peace on the Streets Basketball Classic.
Bring it on now, let's go.
Whether you're a player or a fan, you don't want to miss this one. The action starts July 13th at the Hope Center. Log on to peaceonthestreets.com and register.
Come on, everybody, we're going!
That's the Peace on the Streets Basketball Classic, where we shoot hopes instead of guns. Game time.
Change doesn't happen in sound bites. It happens when people come together and actually talk. The forum is that conversation where Bahamians from all walks of life work through the issues that affect us all, challenge each other, and find solutions together. Every Saturday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. The Forum with Ricardo Wells. Coming this Saturday to Guardian Radio.
Join us on Kalina's Customer Appreciation Day, Saturday, July 4th at number 308 East Bay Street. Get free health screenings and sign up for the Kalina Portal. Enjoy delicious food from Bar the Girls, Elevated Barbecue, and the Corn Roaster. Meet Fitness Connection and Bahamian Brewery and learn more about their products and their services. There's fun for the whole family with face painting, games, bouncing castles, crab catching, egg and spoon races, sack races, and more. And there will be prizes and giveaways. You may win a TV, phone, laptop, or a resort day pass. It's all happening Saturday, July 4th at number 308 East Bay Street.
At Cleveland Clinic, you set your course, not cancer. So when your journey takes an unexpected turn, you seek out the experts who've conquered it before, and you forge new paths to help fight cancers. For every route to a cure, for every care in the world. See how we're innovating cancer care at Cleveland Clinic today.
You try to rest, but roll with the best. For all your printing needs, there ain't no one better, no. For posters and banners, magazines and flyers. For window decals, greeting cards and newsletters. No job too big and there's no job too small. You name it, we can print it, just give us a call. Let Print Masters bring your masterpiece to life.
Located in the Nassau Guardian Building, telephone 302-2361.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
And we're back here on Guardian Radio today with your host, Pastor Dr. Cleveland W. Anius III, also known as Kahun Anku Sarah. How you get here in the Bahamas? We got special guests in studio, Brent Wong, we got Luby George, and we have our dear brother Christopher Davis, also known as John Quad II. Brother Brent, you're on a journey to, like many of us, whether we know it or not, we're trying to discover ourselves. You've had the I would call it privilege of being able to acquire a book called The Ready that kind of ties in a lot of these that have come to this side of the world. How far have you gotten with regard to kind of piecing the I guess kind of filling the voids that you may have had within yourself? How far have you gotten in your journey?
Believe it or not, only a few weeks in, because I only just got this book about 2 months ago.
Okay. That's why he was so excited.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes this conversation that much more important for me, because I pray I'm helping you to fulfill what it is that you need to fulfill.
Well, now I got Luby and I got John.
Yes.
Right? So they can fill in the gaps I don't want.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So, but one of the things that we talked about even during the breaks was, you realize that the more details you find out, we have actually more in common than we do in conflict.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. So you realize that you actually have more cousins who actually want the same thing than you do have enemies within your own house. Right? You have enemies. That ain't nothing to argue with. That's a reality.
Yeah, that's real. Yeah.
Right? You will have a sibling that will argue with you because they want to do something different.
Yeah.
With the whole house.
Yeah. That's true.
Okay? You ain't talking. That kind of a thing. So one of the things that I intended to do was look at those reasons for these people who are documented in this book, overlay it with the people who I know who are here, so I could get a better picture of their context, because that's only the people who come from the east side of Asia.
Okay. Right.
That ain't my people who have essentially let's just say Irish/Scottish names. On my mother's side, Robinsons.
Okay.
Robinsons. Right? Robinsons, and a number of those names from the same settlement where those Robinsons come from, the majority of those names are actually represented back in Turks and Caicos.
Yeah. Where you say those names? To Robinson? What island that is?
8 Mile Rock.
Oh, right.
8 Mile Rock, right?
Okay.
So, and there ain't a whole smatter of people still in 8 Mile Rock carrying the Robinson name, because the majority of those people ended up being women. So what happens is when they married, took on the names of everybody else, right? Whereas today, you could have an entire family that never took on the family names of their fathers. I'm not saying that this is more than it used to be back then, less than it used to be back then. It always happened.
It happens.
It happens, right? So what happens is you must have to fight to figure out what's the other side.
Yeah.
Right? It ain't enough just to get one side of the story. Why? Part of me still come from someplace else.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? So I need to figure that out.
Yeah.
I need to figure out why I'm the only one who's interested in boats. And then you realize, okay, well, three steps up.
That's in you.
Yeah. 3 steps up, your great-grandfather was a seaman, right?
Right.
Things like that. So the Robinson family line from 8 Mile Rock connected to Russells, Pinders, Martins, Hepburns, Johnsons. And when you start adding all those names up, it causes you to, men, so we know how important this is, right? You meet somebody, the rest of y'all married. I'm married. You meet somebody, and they call off more than 2 common last names in their family. That's a scratch for me. That's a scratch. I don't care if you convince me all your family in Nassau. No, them families don't originate in Nassau, friend. Don't try that, right? Especially if you know that that's already in your family. That's one thing. But if you know 2 or more of those family names is connected to a family you already know about, and you're too close to that family for one reason or another, you'd be like, look, that's a scratch.
You got to act like 10 years after you're not journey.
What's your name is again? Right? And some people, they'll shut it down right away. They say, listen, we're family.
Right?
Don't worry about that.
I like you.
Yeah. That's all that matters. Right?
Again, it goes back to the question of how far are we looking in and then counting? Where do we stop? Where do we cut it off?
Yeah.
Like for you, you just scratch off the top.
Right.
But some people, no man, this the other harness or this the other this or this the other that. And but if you go digging deep enough and go further enough, then you would realize that maybe we are connected some way somehow.
I remember having a family reunion. Some of my family from the Carolinas that came to the Bahamas, and at the family reunion, the couple that was there with 3 children realized that they was like cousins. It was just we just like well, I mean like I talked about, but they didn't know. There's healthy.
Okay,
Yeah. But so you know,
I have cousins right now. I saw last year, God rest his soul, a younger cousin of mine passed away, and he was a Ferguson.
All right.
I'm a George. My brother that grew up in the same household as me, he was a Francois. My younger cousin, again, like I said, that passed away last year, was a Ferguson. But nobody's gonna pick up the newspaper and the obituary and see his name and identify him with me.
Right. Yeah.
No.
But yet that's my cousin. That's my cousin. His grandmother and my mother were first cousins. First cousins.
Right.
Wow.
So you're all third cousins then.
Exactly.
Cousins,
Right.
yeah.
And his mother and myself, you know, we just link up. We just party together. We just socialize.
Right.
You know what I mean? But on that side, they had so many. My mother's cousin, she had about 10 to 12 kids.
Okay.
About 2 boys. So if there was 12, about 10 of those were females, women.
Yeah. So when the
So
name,
each of those women who were all petites,
married, and,
clearly.
Yeah.
But when they start having kids with, you know,
Other
the
people.
Browns and,
Yeah.
you know, the Fergusons and the Rolls, now everybody's a Brown and a Ferguson and a Roll coming up and you're going to school.
Wow, I see it now.
And then they ain't organic no more
Right.
all of a
So,
sudden.
how far back are we really counting? And then so last month, when we were going through the election cycle, you know, I was sitting down, chuckling and giggling at and not trying to knock, but the organic people movement and you know, the COI with their whole thing and how they were painting this picture. And I was like, so y'all going off like this, right? Y'all, my cousins who are the Fergusons and the Rolls and this and that, whose grandmother's a petite.
Right.
Listening to y'all.
Right.
But he's a Ferguson and this one is a Roll. You don't even know that he's of Haitian descent.
Right. Yeah, you dissing Haitians hard. They look at you like you don't know.
Now you
Haitian
think when
descent.
this Roll and this particular Roll, this particular Ferguson pull up in that voting booth, you don't think that somewhere at the back of his mind he's
remember
thinking
that.
about Mummy and Grammy and everybody else on that side, despite the fact that they may be Bahamians and permanent residents and been here for some 50, 60 years and prior to independence and all of that other good stuff.
100%.
So again, you know, there's so much commonalities.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's, you know, the cultural difference and this melting pot, this conch salad is what makes this place such a beautiful place.
Yep.
4 of us in studio right now. Think about it. We did our introductions. How many countries represented in this studio right now? Just up to 4 of us.
And I ain't even called my own yet.
You understand what I'm saying?
Listen. In 2 generational levels, I walk in here representing like 9 countries.
Okay.
Right? If I show you the picture of that, I could literally identify 6 nations with one generation of migration.
Wow. And that's why this show is important because at the end of the day, if we don't have these conversations, anytime I meet people, I ask them their occupation, I ask them their family, because you could be next to your cousin and don't know it.
Literally.
I met a cousin of mine.
You know what I'm saying?
On Monday. What today is Tuesday? Yesterday.
Yeah.
I met a cousin of mine. He's a Georges also. We had a cousin came and visited from Haiti. He was here for 2 weeks. He left Saturday past. So yes, Haitians do visit. They do the tourist thing and go back. Right. So my cousin was here for 2 weeks, and he called that particular cousin and said the last time he visited, he was the only person he didn't get to see. But they have that relationship, they talk over the phone and all of that stuff. So while they were together, they were having some conversations, and my name came up. And the one from Haiti said, well, you do know that's your cousin, right? He's like, what do you mean that's my cousin? You mean the Luby Georges and everybody? He's like, well, what's your last name? You're Georges too, right?
Yeah.
So he was like, your granddaddy and his granddaddy were brothers.
Right.
And then,
Wow.
and then, so this other guy, my cousin who I just met, he called his mother, and she's like, yeah. And she started explaining, well, this one and that one and all of this other stuff. And he came to the office on Monday, and we sat down and we had a nice conversation. And this man, I'm 40, this man is 42 years old.
Yeah.
Both of us born here, grew up here, and we just met for the first time on Monday, yesterday.
Wow.
I have a question to ask John real quick. Isn't that one of the primary functional values of the griot in African culture? To keep that
100%, to keep it on, and you know, and it's funny because and this is something even my own personal experience, they value so much in society as well, right? And when you look at, and I hope I ain't stepping on the line here, but I'm a huge fan of Phil Stubbs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who I would also consider a griot, because griots also played music, they dances, you know, they were the ones who figured out certain patterns that are ancient, and they'll weave them in their cloth or etch it in the wall, you understand?
Yep.
And so these griots, griot, however people call it, you know, they play a crucial role. And then nations in the African diaspora even more so. And it's even just like you said, you know, in the beginning, you was like, man, I go to mommy, I go to Grammy. Well, they ain't want to say nothing, or they don't know. So I go to mommy cousin or my Grammy distant cousin who's still living in 8 Mile Rock right now.
Yeah.
So and that's actually what it is. But because we've sort of lost and been disconnected from that culture, we don't like to do it. And then, of course, there's a lot of the trauma, the shame, the proverbial sweeping under the rugs. You know, people, my Smith side of the family, there's a lot of colorism as well.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So on the Smith side, this don't exist no more, but back in it, well, actually, let me bring it to the Davis side. I'm going to get into that one. Yeah, the Davis. So I have Anius Satella, God bless her soul, one of my favorite aunties, just passed away earlier this year. And this woman was just an absolute phenom of a woman, riding horseback to her farm, farming until she's 82 years old, riding horse to her farm miles away. And up to a point in her life, this woman, black like midnight, and can't stand black people.
Like Dave Chappelle.
Right. Yeah. You know? And like I say, God bless my aunties to tell us so. I know I have some family members listening, killing themselves laughing.
Watch yourself.
She is like, the only reason I go on to the UBP is because all the family and all that, and your grandpa them say, because your grandpa them didn't do that. I used to be right there.
Yeah.
And boy, she's tall, but Godfrey Kelly, like he's a hero, you know? But at the end of the day, that's a big part of it too. It's a sort of shame, trauma. There is a colonial mindset, unfortunately, that contributes to it. You have names like Knowles and Sims and Johnsons out of Lutra, but how this array of color and culture and all these different things, then that's mixed in with indigenous cultures. Well, I've actually met a few people who was like, man, I think my great-grandmother was Chinese, because they would see this person with Asiatic features, long jet black hair, come to find out she was a Cherokee or
And even the San in South Africa, the San have those same type of eyes. And
I got to tell you why that is.
Yeah.
I got to tell you why that is.
I should have said that earlier.
Yeah.
But let me just say I'm grateful for the conversation. Brent, of course, you know, you always welcome. We love you back. I think next month, Ian Moore will join us in the conversation as well. But we just want to continue having these type of conversations. Texts, I am so sorry that I didn't get to so many texts, because there's a lot of political texts that I just ain't addressing on this type of show. So I didn't feel like just, you know, it's like I do more screening than reading. So I was like, you know, but I will read this last text. And some of them were actually pretty good. I just couldn't keep up with it. I do apologize, texters. I want to say shout out to my classmate Toriano. Respect, brother. Thanks for listening, man. Uncle, you said that your mom still carry Anius, although she and your father are divorced. She must love your father, because I don't know what that is. But let me tell you, my mom loves her husband now, who's a Sanders, right? But her passport, her degrees, her paperwork, like that doesn't change because you get remarried. So she's like, call me Anius. So I don't get confused. That's really all it is. But my cousin Simone said, you need to end the show talking about your mom.